All right, Coach. For the first time in the history of the NCAA, their opening round matches are set here for the National Collegiate Women's Bowling Championship, and one of the first ones is going to be played here in Harrogate at Hillcrest Lane. So obviously talk about the excitement of this event before we actually get into the kind of the meat and potatoes of this.
I think as we're evolving in NCAA women's bowling, it's very exciting for us to be hosting the first ever opening round. We put a lot of work and time, the whole LMU athletics administration staff, and trying to make this a very meaningful event for both teams. It's with the mega match format. It's also very interesting because many teams don't participate in that often. So you have 3 formats. It's just exciting for women's bowling, and the direction that we're heading is that there'll be less teams at the national championship main site at the end, just like other sports, but more opportunity for teams to get into. We have 8 conference championships coming on board next year that will be AQs. The hope for everyone is that there'll be 16 with basically 4 brackets, and the winners get to go to the national championship. That's what our hope is. So this is that first evolutionary step, and for us to be hosting, in fact, it's our only sport besides basketball that LMU has hosted, and considering it's a D1, D2, D3 combined sport, it's an awesome step, and it's for the sport of women's bowling. This is a huge step forward, and we're honored to be part of that whole process.
When they talk about Friday's match, Friday morning, Texas Southern coming to Hillcrest Lanes to take on your squad. We've seen Texas Southern twice this year, beat them both times. Obviously, you talked about that on the front end. That doesn't mean anything going forward, but talk about the matchup with Texas Southern.
Yeah, our goal is to, this is unusual. We're normally preparing to bowl in another center, so our preparation, we always prepare for the unexpected. We have multiple lane play strategies in place and ready to go. We practice those extensively, which is our norm, to be prepared for anything. So for preparation, it's a little different because we're in the building that we practice every day, and it's on the condition that we know. So that's an unusual step. Normally we would be coming into today at the practice on site and tweak and develop, and I feel it's more of a calming because we know what to expect. It's one team. There won't be a radical difference in how the lane transitions. We'll be paying close attention to what they're doing and what their plan is and how they're implementing it during the match. But I feel very good that we're prepared to do what we will do regardless of what we decide to do. So that's an unusual situation to be in. I feel very confident that we're ready to perform at our best. We've worked very, very hard. We do not take any team for granted. They're hungry as much as we are. So that's really the goal, to do exactly what we do always, which is we have our plan, we implement the plan, and based on how the lanes are transitioning, we will make moves. We are not afraid to make big moves, small moves. We have prepared for this for the entire season. For some of the players, this has been a 2-year development process. So we're going to stick to what we do and what we've done to get to this point. It's a very exciting time. We just learned it's our first ever top 20 in the D1, D2, D3 poll. All the hard work is coming together. We're bowling in April. We always talk about March and April, and we're getting to compete in the national tournament that we're hosting. Can't get any better than that, really.
Only 10 teams left that are bowling right now in women's bowling across the board, and you're one of those 10 teams. So obviously you don't want to get ahead of yourself. Texas Southern is the next and the only match you can focus on, but how is your group looking at this opportunity?
We are looking at it as we're honored to be part of the first ever opening round match. We always prepare for whatever, win or lose. We just like at the East Coast Conference Championship. If we're privileged enough to win the conference championship, we will be practicing during spring break. If we're privileged enough to win on Friday, then we'll have practice on Saturday. That's what we do. We have all the scenarios laid out in front of us, and we're prepared for anything that comes ahead. We want to keep everything as normal as possible, and that's why we've worked really, really hard. That's our norm, to be prepared for this match and stay focused on the now for Friday. And if we're fortunate enough to win, then we'll turn the gear right up and think about the next step. But we're really geared, everything's geared towards Friday. Everything's geared towards tomorrow morning.
Well, and then you talk about this like as an opportunity as a whole. You've seen almost every team that's left bowling right now,
Yes.
and you fared well against almost all of them. So kind of how has that kind of pushed your team forward into the NCAA tournament?
I just think that we have a calmness about us. We know that if we do our best, we can be competitive with anyone. And that gives you a calmness and security in us. We really focus on us. What can we do? What do we need to do on the lane? And that's really what bowling is about. And I feel we're very confident and we're secure in us. We have a very tight-knit group of young women, strong young women. We've prepared by going out and facing the best teams in the country over and over and over again so that we have a mental strength. We can bowl from the front, we can bowl when we're down. We do not give up. And we've proven it in the last month in particular. We've been very, very competitive. And I think that sends a message that our preparation and way of doing things yields big results. And that's an exciting time for us. We want to go through our routines and perform and execute. And that's the only thing we can control. We can't control how well the other team does. We want to put them in a place, though, that they know we're going to be strong. And certainly we've done that up to this match, and that's really what we're looking for.
Well, and finally, what's it going to take to get past Texas Southern on Friday and advance on to St. Louis?
I think if we bowl our level, our performance level, the statistic shows that we can beat anyone. And I think that's the same thing tomorrow morning, is we need to focus on our execution quality, being very responsive to lane changes, convert spares, and be very high in filling frames. And if we do that, I like our chances to move forward to St. Louis. And we have to keep our focus and energy high. We're a high energy team that thrives on that collective energy going together, and I think that can sometimes rattle other teams, especially once we get going, because our strike rate is very high. Our Baker double percentage is one of the best in the country, just outside the top 10. So once we get going, people know we can score. So I think that's our advantage, that we can strike a lot. We use the hashtag Sisterhood of Strike, Sisters of Strike, for good reason. And I think that's really the key. Can we not give the other team an opportunity by making mistakes? If we perform at our level and don't give away easy spares, fill frames, we're going to score well. And if we score well, I like our chances.